Mr. Keegan, why is international collaboration so critical to NASA's mission, and should we just suspend international cooperation until these security concerns are addressed?
Cooperation with international nations is actually part of the NASA's foundational legislation, the Space Act, and NASA has derived great benefits from our international cooperation. Over half the operational science missions have significant international participation and contributions. The International Space Station obviously depends heavily on international contributions, and that's been humans have been inhabited that facility continuously for 13 years. So a lot of NASA's greatest accomplishments have depended on international contributions and cooperation. Given those benefits, we need to balance that with our duty to protect sensitive export-controlled information, and that's a balance that has been mentioned by a number of the reports we're talking about today. And when the Administrator first became aware of issues that sort of shook his confidence that we were able to fulfill that responsibility, he took immediate action to stand down, for example, to issue a moratorium on foreign national access until each Center Director could validate their compliance with existing rules and policies through internal reviews. And he also took down a NASA website, the NASA NTRS website, which is the website through which we share publicly the results of NASA's scientific and technical research, until we could validate that all the documents, over 1 million on that website, had proper internal controls. And as a result of these actions and other actions we are taking in response to the reports we're discussing here today, NASA is confident that we can assure the security of sensitive export-controlled information.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Keegan. Mr. Webster, are you satisfied that NASA is making due progress in addressing the concerns of your organization?
Well, I can say that they were very receptive and very cooperative with the study. The study has not reviewed the progress that they've made since our recommendations, and so that progress remains to be seen.
Ms. Martin and Ms. Robinson, can you comment on the progress since the study?
We have not gone to see what NASA has done since the study in terms of an audit or anything like that, but I agree that they have been very receptive to our recommendations, and I believe they are working hard on the matter.
Likewise, NASA agreed with all 7 of our recommendations. We were certainly encouraged that the Administrator issued a memo to all staff reiterating the importance of export controls, and also met with the Center Export Administrator. So that is an example of the tone from the top. But again, we have not fully evaluated all of the actions.
Mr. Keegan, Mr. Webster talked about in his testimony some cultural changes that would need to take place at NASA. Those are very challenging for any administrator to implement. Do you feel like the current administrator is able to change some of the culture at NASA? How are you approaching that?
In a couple of ways. NASA is looking at our whole competition model and as to the advantages and to the drawbacks of that model. And we acknowledge that sometimes creates incentives not to share information across centers in a way that's not helpful to NASA as a whole. I think the Administrator has emphasized directly, both to me and Associate Administrator Robert Lightfoot, and to the Center Directors and Mission Directors who report to Mr. Lightfoot, that they will be held accountable for implementing the actions in response to these reports, and for emphasizing and complying with the requirements in these areas, and for seeing that that's done in their organizations.
I thank the witnesses and yield back.